Hello, everyone. Just a couple minutes late, but we're okay. It's all good. I don't even
What's
know where my
better than how
camera
late
is.
we've been the past 2 weeks?
Holy cow! Tell me about it.
So, a couple minutes is that's nice.
Yeah,
We're on time if that's the
yeah.
case.
A business trip and then illness and deadlines all at the same time. It's
Yeah, so
always
it's like the last 2 weeks we've been 2 weeks late. Well, I guess
yeah,
3 weeks late now.
3 weeks. Yeah. Let me
A
make
couple minutes better than
sure
3 weeks.
Twitter knows about us, since we got a lot of folks checking us out that way last time. That was kind of neat. I didn't expect that last time.
Yeah, I guess did somebody advertise it? Is that what happened?
Um, Boom Studios actually tweeted it. Yeah. So let's see. Go ahead and pin this to the top.
Well, shit.
Uh-oh.
QT's left AEW.
Oh no.
Everybody's freaking leaving AEW, man. I liked QT. He could get a box over. I mean, he was a wrestler's wrestler.
We'll see what happens. All the money's getting thrown around now.
And that can only mean that AEW must be doing something,
Yeah.
Which everybody either is extolling the fact that they're with WWE or lamenting the fact that they've left AEW. And I'm sitting here thinking, well, WWE must want them for a reason. So, that can't be bad, because that means it's not the last, and it means that AEW must be doing something with these people. So
for sure. Yeah.
that's, WWE wouldn't have taken a chance at Jade. There's no way in hell.
No. Nope.
And
all
they
right.
took
I guess
a chance with Cody, and he skippered off to Japan. So that's how successful that was. Yeah. It's okay. Sorry, it's not a wrestling show. That's our other podcast.
We should definitely do that though. We should definitely do a wrestling podcast. I think that would be good. Okay. Episode 104. In 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, welcome back to Boom Addiction. This is episode number 104. I am Chris Martin. I hope all of you are doing well. With me as always is Mr. Ed Moore. Ed, how are you, sir?
I am suffering through breaking in a new pair of bifocals.
Ah, that's always good. I need to get.
Do you bifocal yet?
One. I can't see regardless, so the glasses I wear are purely the way I could see 5 years ago.
Okay.
There's no telling. If I take my glasses off now, I can't see at all. So it's good times.
Yeah. Past 4 or 5 years, I've done that bifocal thing. So that's it's fun once they get to working, and when they're not working, it is a pain in the butt.
Oh, geez. It's all the lead paint that we licked off the toys when we were growing up.
It is, yeah. I used to paint lead miniatures, and would lick my fingers during the process.
There you go.
Yeah, so it's
got to make sure you get the paintbrush nice and thin.
That's it.
For some of those details.
Plus, too, whenever I melted them and it would hiss, the demons spawn at me, like
right. Yeah.
They said on that Christian morning show. Yeah, so
that's exactly it.
Who knows what else that is done that just hasn't shown up yet. I mean, I've had kids, and that's turned out okay. So that's not it. So,
so no demon spawns that way.
Well, no, not in the genetic code apparently. So it'll present some other way, I'm sure.
I'm sure it will. Some of these comics we read, you never know.
Some of the ones this time were kind of
Yeah. So So we've been gone for a little while, but if you're listening to this in the future, you don't care. But I
You
had
can't
a
tell.
you will be able to tell.
Yep.
So I got a nice little business trip out to Las Vegas about 2 weeks ago, and I feared what every con going person
Crud.
fears: the crud,
The
both
crud.
at the convention and the airport and on the airplane, because I
I was
haven't
gonna say,
actually
yeah, you
flown.
flew, so yeah,
I haven't
that's
flown since since prior to the pandemic. So
yeah.
I was a little hesitant, but either way, took tons of precautions and whatnot. The funny thing is I did not get sick, which is the reason we missed 2 weeks. Is I got sick when I came back. There was illness running around in my house. And so my son had had it while I was gone. My wife got it shortly after I got back, and then I got it like a day or two later. So,
All right, there
so
we
it
go.
wasn't work, it wasn't the convention, it wasn't Vegas. Um, I will say, for those of you who are Formula One fans, I'm not 100% sure that Las Vegas people who live there like you. I don't think
I
that's the case.
Yeah, that's kind of what I heard after the fact. Well,
I
building up to it, and yeah,
Yeah, I think the people who came for Formula One, because Formula One happened, I left on Thursday and the race was on Saturday. So Thursday night they were doing the free test run
okay,
where dude ran over the manhole cover and
and
blew,
tore up his
yeah,
car. Yeah,
tore up his car and everything. So yeah, it was, and my daughter's big in Formula One, so I got an earful of that as
is
soon as
she
I
really? Oh,
got
cool.
home. Yeah. So she's making plans to go to Vegas next year. So we're hoping that my conference is in Vegas next year and happens at the same time. That way we'll just stay an extra couple days.
Right,
So,
just pair
but
up the
yeah.
trips, and yeah,
Yep.
well, cool.
Now that being said, I really hope to go to some comic conventions next year too. Since I realize I yet again can travel. So I realize I can only fly for about 2 hours, and then I get extremely antsy just because I can't sit down that long. Um, so it had nothing to do with caffeine or anything like that. I just literally, just every part of my body is just screaming to get up. And when you're sitting in the middle seat, that's not very easy.
Yeah,
So,
that's kind of tough.
but as far as like news from the last couple of weeks, not a ton of news. Lotus Land number one, we had a couple sellouts, second products and stuff. So Lotus Land number one, which we'll talk about tonight, that sold out. So we'll get a new printing of that. Zawa and the Belly of the Beast number one also sold out. Again, we'll be talking about that tonight too. So that's pretty cool. Um, while I was gone, the Amory Wars direct reserve campaign on backer kit started and has been going gangbusters. So if you've not had an opportunity to check that out, if you've never heard of what Amory Wars is, I would highly recommend at least looking into it. No pressure or anything to back it or anything. I do think it's a pretty cool series. I do want to go back and reread it. It has been a number of years since I've read it.
It's been a
But I
number
do
of
remember,
years since it's been out.
yeah. But this is the 20th anniversary of it, so you're getting everything in a new 12 issue series,
Hmm.
which Boom will be publishing later next year. So we'll talk about that.
Past 3 or 4 days as I've been recording podcasts, I noticed that by and large I seem to be in a rather surly mood. So
No, no.
I'm going to surly here at the top of the show and then try to get it out of my system and
Oh,
not come
sure.
back
Here, I'm
to
gonna
that.
mute real quick and
But
take a little sip of my drink, and you just have a good
okay,
old. There.
Chris brought up the Amory Wars Kickstarter. They being Boom also have a Power Rangers Pink Ranger Kickstarter going as well. And my surliness is about my transitioning because of a lack of space. I have a room pretty much the size of this one, which I know you guys can't see all of it, but it's on the other side of this wall behind me. And It is full of comic books to the point that I fear every day that I need to go underneath the house and look and make sure that everything is supported well enough because of
That is
uh,
always my concern.
right against this wall is a big shelf
Yes.
that I have boxes on, and the shelf is full. I have boxes stacked on one side 3 high, on the other 3 high. Then I have 2 or 3 other stacks of a couple boxes here and there in the room, giving me room to move around and do stuff. So I mean, essentially, this room is full. I don't want to keep buying paper. I like to go digital. The books I read prior to the show are digital. Now, those books that I'm definitely interested in, they go with all the others that I get every month, and they're in the other room. Um, Amory Wars, 12 issues. It had a digital tier. I was all about that. The price was kind of on the edge of what I think digital comics should cost, but
Hmm.
everything else swayed me that, okay, do it. The Power Rangers Kickstarter does not have a digital tier. It's only 4 issues. Kickstarter 12 issues digital, Kickstarter 4 issues no digital. That makes no logical sense to me.
Yeah.
I can't parse that. I even asked on the Kickstarter, and the response was that, oh, yada yada, the trade when it comes out, you'll be able to pick up and I'm like, no,
Hmm.
that's really not even close to the point. But okay, thanks. I am sorely disappointed that they did that. Claws had a digital.
Hmm.
Um, Berserker had a digital. Both of those were much, much bigger than 4 issues of Power Ranger that has no digital component, not a digital trade. And I'm more interested in the individual digital issues to get those books to see what's in them.
Yeah.
I know the kind of stuff, that they put in trades to make them worth the amount of money that they ask.
Hmm.
And yeah, what added value. There we
Yeah.
go.
There you go.
There's the business term.
Some back
Um,
matter.
yeah, there's another one. Makes me want to go grab some toilet paper whenever anybody says that. Back matter. That's what it. Anyways, so yeah, I just wanted to say, anybody with Boom, if you do listen to the show, guys, money on table. I mean, that's what you have left there by. I understand that your potentially your return on investment or your profit margin isn't going to be as high for those digital books, but it is money. It is money conceivably to people who are in a situation like me that either want to try it or just can't handle paper, or the investment that
Right.
you're requesting is more than they're willing for whatever their reasons may be.
I am curious
It's
if it's a
just
contract thing with
uh,
um maybe, you know, I don't know.
they
Yeah.
release the regular issues in digital
Oh, yeah.
via Comixology or whoever.
Hmm.
I think I've seen them on Global Comics now,
Yeah.
and 2 or 3 others that have been springing up.
Mm.
So that at least is included if this Kickstarter is a separate negotiation and it wasn't negotiated for that.
Right.
Okay, you know, but I I'm disappointed. I want to support you guys, but every time I turn around, you're giving me a left hook to the jaw, man, and I'm only going to
Yeah.
be able to take so much more, and I'm just going to be like, okay, yeah,
Yeah. No, and I get that. The struggle that I've had in the past in supporting or backing a lot of Kickstarters, for me, it's not a digital thing. It's more just cost.
oh,
Sometimes
sure,
I'm I'm gonna always be a well, I say always. I'm gonna be a hard copy guy on Boom stuff for a long time.
hmm
I mean, we've talked about it on the show before. My goal is to have, to at least buy at least cover A of everything that they've
everything.
published. Um, and I've been slowly inventorying. I'm through E right now, and that's a lot of comics so far.
hmm
And so it is curious at some point why. I mean, you got to think at some point everything's got to be digital. It doesn't make sense to not be that way unless there's some like I said, some contractual reason for it. But again, I mean, it's who knows, but it does seem a little strange that um, that they don't offer it, knowing that they've offered it on
Welcome,
things in
sir.
the past.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder. We have A and we have B. What
Yeah,
is the difference?
yeah, yeah,
Why? Yeah. So
yeah. And that's one of those things I don't think, we'll learn those details. It's just,
sorry about
but
that, guys.
it's
Yeah.
it's just one of those things. How are you doing, sir? Glad you were able to come in early.
Yeah, just a business decision. Yeah.
Yep. No, I
You know.
get it. No, and I totally get it. You're probably not the only one that's sort of disappointed in that. I
Mm.
as a sympathizer to you in the quote unquote lack of space department, I totally understand.
Yeah, it's getting bad in there.
Yeah,
And
I'm sure.
seriously, I keep meaning to get under the house and just take a look since I've put all that there just to be sure.
So,
So,
I work with structural engineers.
hey, Doug.
That's my profession. That's the way it's always been in my for however long. Um, and it never fails when I see a photo on Twitter, like, here's my comic collection, and it's this massive, massive room full of stuff. The first thing I think of is not, oh, cool. It's like, what floor is that on in your
Yeah,
house?
really. I hope that's in the basement on your slab
That's
because
on a slab, right? That's not on a
you're
crawl
yeah,
space.
you're doing that quick math and you're like,
You,
let's say a box weighs and I see 20 boxes.
oh,
Okay,
yeah.
that's
No,
about
no, no. I definitely have done that in the past.
24 square feet. So that's
Yep. I've done that a lot.
yep.
And I've done that to some friends of mine on Twitter, and I'm like, all right, let me quick, because I've seen some folks, not because I've said anything, but have gotten that thought. They're like, you know what? I think I should move this stuff down to this first floor. I think I
It's
need to move it to the basement, or something
that's
to that
always,
effect.
yeah. If your
Yeah.
basement is safe
And
enough on the slab is, yeah,
I've seen structural failure due to comic book collections. Like, I've
really.
seen a house,
Oh
like
wow.
like this was when I lived in Spartanburg, and a comic shop, or Borderlands. We all know Borderlands.
Mhm.
That's in Greenville, South Carolina. Um, there was a guy who was selling a lot of his collection to them, and so Rob, the owner, and I got talking about it or whatever. I drove by the guy's house just out of curiosity because he was like, "Oh yeah, it started to do damage to my house." And so I was sitting there telling the guy, I was like, "Yeah, I don't quite believe that, but I
Yeah,
work with
really.
structural
It's like,
engineering, but I am curious." And so he gave me his address, and I, swung by there after work one day and knocked on the door, and he's like, "Yeah, come around back," and it was an older home, no,
yeah.
not, but I mean, it's a sturdy house. I mean, but it was on a crawl space, and it was, but the back of the where the support, where the floor joists and everything were definitely, the outside fascia had popped off, and the joists were much lower. I mean, they were deflecting a good couple inches. And what it is much like everybody else who collects comics, they line them up against the wall,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's the way it is. So now my storage, not that everybody really even cares, but I've got a smaller collection, but at the same time, all of my stuff where I record the show and everything else, where I work during the day, is in my bonus room that's above my garage. I have been lucky enough that the house was designed with these built-ins that are over the roof trusses.
Okay.
So they're built into the roof trusses, so they're supported not only by that, but they're also supported by the structure, by the bearing
The,
walls below.
yeah. The
So
outside of it. Yeah.
so there always is a little worry, okay, am I overloading this? But at the same time, yeah. So no. So that's structural engineering with comics, folks. Um, More of that later, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. That's
But
a
yeah,
new podcast coming
yeah,
at you in
it's
2024.
it's gonna be really short. And then the last thing, as far as news goes, is Free Comic Book Day. I mean, that's coming up here on May 4th, 2024. They've already started making announcements and stuff about the books that'll be coming out. Boom's going to have 2 books. They're going to have a Boombox 10th anniversary extravaganza because it's Boombox's 10th anniversary. And then they'll have another one that is The Worlds of James Tiny and the Fourth. So we'll get 2 of those. Now, side note, we have a question on Twitter already about because if you can watch the show various ways live. One of those is on the Boom Addiction Twitter handle, and someone actually asked a question about Free Comic Book Day, asking, would there be any chance we'll see a new mouse guard from Boom in the Free Comic Book Day issue? I don't think that's going to happen. If you have not had an opportunity to pick up I would say the original Mouse Guard hardcover Free Comic Book Day book, I would highly recommend searching for that. It is a very cool book to own, very cool book to have. Boom went all out for that one. I don't think anyone will ever do that again. I don't think it's cost effective, but it was a pretty cool book. But I don't think, based off of a Boombox 10th anniversary book and a James Tynion the Fourth focused issue, are we going to get anything with Mouse Guard? I would like to see something with Mouse Guard down the road, but I don't know what I would assume the relationship between them and, oh goodness, blanked. Mouse Guard creator's name. Peterson, yeah, David Peterson. I would assume their relationship is still good. So, but it would be kind of interesting to see them do something as an anniversary coming up.
He does covers out the yin yang.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And we all know at this point, well, after a little while in the comic book hobby, you find out one way or another that is a much more lucrative thing to do than usually to do the internals in a comic book.
For sure. Yeah.
And what I understand up until recently was time constraints for him. Doing a cover was one thing. Doing 22 pages or 30 pages of sequential was entirely out of the realms of what he was available to do.
Yeah.
But he definitely has gotten quite comfortable doing covers. Ninja Turtles and Usagi seem to be particular. He is fans of those properties. That's where a lot of his stuff has been coming out. So I just don't, every 5 years or so at Heroes, when I see him, I'll ask. And I don't want to ask every year because I don't want to be that guy.
Right.
I'll be pseudo that guy by 5 years, So
he sees you coming. He's like, no.
Oh no, it's been 5 years. And so the answer is typically what it has been. And without getting into any more specifics, the specifics are his to relate. It's a lifetime issue, and the last time I checked, it hadn't changed enough to free him up to be doing. He had it set out. He knew what he wanted to do, and I believe he even told me one of the more recent times that he's been writing on it. But there has been, other than maybe scribbles, there has been just no art that he's been able to dedicate to it. So, I don't know. Unless something breaks loose for him in a big way, it may be a while before we see Mouse Guard again, if we see it again at all.
Yeah, I know with Black Friday sales and stuff like that, he was doing a big push, for a lot of the hardcovers and stuff that he has on his website. He may still have those if you're listening to this kind of close to the beginning of the week. You might want to check out his website. But not getting new stuff is a little disappointing, but understanding at the same time. As a fan and everything, but you can enjoy the older stuff. So
I mean, we still have what we have, and it is it will be ever fresh. It doesn't date. So it's it's definitely one of those things that should be able to make a lot of people's I read it once every, X number
Mhm.
of years stuff that you go back and revisit, because I would think just the art alone, it would take a lot of time to see everything in every
Oh,
panel
yeah.
that he draws.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
That makes me now feel like I need to go back and
go back and I haven't
read
reread it
those
in a
hardcovers.
while.
I hadn't read about a while, yeah.
I looked at it for I was messing with Hoopla actually,
Mm.
and I
Mhm.
downloaded the Mouse Guard books trades that they had on Hoopla as my first reads for that, and
Oh, okay.
I need to go back because in 3 days I think they'll return. So
Oh,
I
okay.
need to go back and do that before the end of November. Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
forgotten about that.
Good stuff. Good stuff. And Doug agrees too. So
All right. Free comic book day. All right. Let's
all
take a
right.
look at what's coming out next week.
All right. Hit us. Hit
All
us with
right.
everything.
I am on the gocollect.com site. So if someone out there takes umbrage with me for getting something, it's their fault and not mine. Looks like we are having variant covers for the first 3 issues of Behold Behemoth dropping. These are Boom exclusive covers, which
Yeah.
we have seen. Where did we see all those? San Diego, maybe?
Oh, these are new ones.
Are they?
Yeah.
I,
Yeah,
I
they
thought we'd
keep cranking
seen them.
out the new ones. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, not that that was a bad series, but yeah, I've
No,
kind of
no, no, no.
moved past looking for covers for it because I don't look for it. So,
Yeah.
um, we have more T-shirts coming, but none of them are Fat Boy compliant. So I'm not
No,
going to be able to buy
I
any.
almost posted something about that on Twitter. I was very excited. I was like, "Well, I just need
What?
one more size up. That's all I
Why
need.
not? And
I need
I
a
have brought this up before.
I need a 3X
It
tall. That's what
it
I
maybe
need."
have been a while, but I do run into the same thing with wrestling T-shirts, which
Yeah,
blows my mind
which is
even
so
more.
weird.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have a T-shirt for Keith Lee that Keith Lee
Right,
couldn't
yeah.
freaking wear. How does that make sense, guys? I mean, come on. You know,
Yeah, that
Miro is
seems
not
weird,
going to
yeah.
fit into the sizes that you have posted. Wrestling T Republic or whatever your name is. I'm like, oh, come on. My
Uh,
wife can get some.
oh,
I
yeah,
seldom
yeah.
can get them. They're yeah. So, anyways, okay. More Boom exclusive variants. Looks like a
Mhm.
Briar issue 1, a couple for Berserker 12, and then hey, here we have an actual comic book. This looks like Buffy the Vampire Slayer issue number 5.
Yep,
4 covers. None of them are Boom Studios exclusives. So these are just your garden variety exclusive. No,
yep.
they're not. It's an A and a B, and
Your
then
garden variety ones, yes.
yeah, a couple virgin variants there for C and D incentive covers.
Yep.
And we go right back to the studios exclusive for Damn Them All issue number
Mhm.
1. We have the hardcover volume number 5 for Giant Days, the
Mhm.
library edition coming out. Another set of T-shirts for Grimm. I'm assuming it will have one of the handful of Grimm logos that they've shown us.
Yeah.
I particularly like the scythe. I'm a fan of that logo.
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4 more studio exclusives. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers issue number 1. Rangers Turtles 2 covers for issue number 1. Once Upon a Time at the End of the World issue number 1. Then we return to our regular books. Orcs the Gift, which is the 4th and final,
Is it the
third,
4th? I think it's the
third
3rd.
and
I wanna
final
say 3rd, but I could be wrong.
chapter. Yeah, it's definitely third, maybe it's fourth, but yeah, I'll stick with third also, the
Okay.
third chapter. Either way, it's supposed to be the concluding
Yeah.
chapter of of the story. Orcs the Gift, we have 3 covers of it coming out. We have the next issue, number 3 of Ranger Academy, which that was one of the books eligible for being spoken of tonight, but it didn't quite make the cut. Issue number 2. We'll recognize that it came out. Issue number 2 came out,
There you
and
go.
that's probably all we're going to have time to talk about it. So, uh, which just means we'll probably make it a point to talk about issue number 3
Oh,
next time.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we
Uh,
enjoy it, but
Definitely
we got
4
time.
covers for it. Um, Then we have a duplicit type variant St. George's baseball cap. Something is killing the children.
Mm-hmm.
We have the second printing of Something is Killing the Children pen and ink. This says number 1. I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb and say period. I bet there won't be an issue number 2 of that, but we'll see. Space between
Well,
issue
it's
number
number
2.
1 because it's the first issue.
Yeah, but if there's not going to be a second issue, why denote that it's the first?
Because it's a pen and ink of the first issue.
Oh, okay. Space between issue number 2, 4 covers for it. I believe we spoke of the first issue.
First issue, yeah.
When it came out.
Yeah.
Many issues, and this kind of surprises me, for Stuff of Nightmares Sleigh Ride, which is the next adult-oriented Stuff of Nightmares by, name's gone. I won't be able to get it back. Yes, R.L. Stine.
There you go.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10 different covers.
Some good-looking covers too.
Are there?
Like the Francavilla glow-in-the-dark cover is pretty sweet, but that should, I think, almost go without saying.
Yeah, really.
And the Jenny Frisen's always good. The homage covers. I mean, it's.
What about the
I would definitely
black and white variant?
I don't know. Here, let's see if I.
Let me click it and see. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I could tell that's Jay Lee. That's not bad. That's the color. The next one down is the black and white variant.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
On the list. Yeah. That's.
There we go. Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Yep.
Pretty sweet.
Jay Lee's does good stuff.
Yeah. All right. Rounding out next week will be another. What is that? That's like 10 exclusive variants for
there's a
Boom
lot
next
of
week.
them.
Vicious Circle number 1, and then the second printing for the first issue of Zawa and the Belly of the Beast, which we're going to talk about tonight. Not the second printing. We're going to talk about the first printing, the first issue.
Oh, the second printing! How much second it is?
What it was jamming. It
was actually, I hadn't even seen what that is. I bet that's the really bad part. Being sick, busy, and on a trip. I'm about 2 weeks behind on even looking at second printings and variant covers and things I do in my spare time.
Doesn't it?
It's pretty sweet.
Isn't that the first cover?
It looks a lot like the first cover.
Yeah.
So. I don't know.
Seems very familiar.
Yeah. Oh, well.
All of that is scheduled to come out next week. Now, that's also another thing that can happen and has been happening with a frequency lately, is that books on a shipping list don't actually make it to the front door of your shop. So there's a variety of issues that can come up. But right now, this is Monday. These should conceivably already be in transit.
I would think so.
Because most places will get them tomorrow, right, Chris, to then put on sale Wednesday?
No. These books are coming out on the 29th. Yeah, they should have already happened.
Oh no, this is
next. Yeah, this is a week.
This is next week. Oh yeah. Okay. No, these aren't in transit yet.
Yeah, they won't start getting those. I think they get them on Saturday, Monday at the latest. So
some of these may still get bound up somewhere, and it may change.
It can happen. Weather will do that to you. So,
Rishadu, we are going to talk about and spoil some of, but not terribly, Zawa. So keep that in mind when we get there. And then, Michael Dialinus, I have been much in favor of his art since The Woods.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if that's a new title to you, look that up from Boom, from back before he and Tiny Ian became famous.
Yeah,
they were doing Woods for Boom.
I will spoil a slight bit of my review of that first issue. It was good to see his art. I was very. It was almost like, oh, why can't I get this all the time?
And
just all the time.
Reading it, I had twinges of The Woods, but I got a definite Wind vibe out of his art.
Mm.
And I don't know if that's because that's where he has progressed, in
Yeah.
his style, but there were particularly the fairy slash elven characters
Yeah.
from Wind, as it references Zawa himself, herself, whatever it's going to be.
Yeah.
I definitely got that vibe from that character. I'm like, oh, put them in the woods,
Yep.
peeking from behind a tree, and that fits right in
Mhm.
with Wind.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah. That was the woods was. Chris and I were
I
doing the
love that.
show when that was coming out, and we were just
I love that book.
staggered by that
Yeah.
story. It was something else.
Yep. Totally agree. Heavily underrated. Should have gotten that sci-fi series. I totally agree. I would.
I don't hear anybody really talking about it now.
I know.
Um,
It's
and I'm like,
it is one of
somebody
Tynan's.
need, and at this point, um, Tynan and Linus, or just
Mhm.
he by himself as the artist, is worthy of at least a short segment in a show somewhere, in some sort of retrospective or
Yeah.
something like that. And I say that as most of their stuff has come out from Boom, and we're sitting here talking on a Boom podcast.
Yeah.
So maybe that falls on us to have to do. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe we need to at least cover the first trade or something like that,
Something
and
like that. Yeah.
do that sometime here in the near future. We can possibly do that. Oh, sure. Why not? Let's just do that.
The first Woods trade.
Yep, that'd be good. Now, with Free Comic Book Day, the worlds of James Tynion the Fourth, maybe we'll get a little something in there
Could be.
to remind folks. I do think that's The Woods is one of those books that if you've not read it and you're a fan of either one of them, if you're just a fan of just good sort of sci-fi, stories, I think that was a really good one.
And the worlds of book like that would be good to go back and do a little 8-page interstitial
Mhm.
from that story to just reintroduce people to those characters in that setting.
Yep.
Just do a little quick hit, and because it's going to be focusing on something is killing and slaughter.
Oh, sure. And
Which,
I love Slaughterverse. I mean,
yes,
I'm a huge
but
fan, but
but
all that early stuff, man.
Wind
Golly.
before it and Woods before it. It's just there's a lot of
Totally.
there's a lot more stuff that they have done, that Tynion has done, than just the Slaughterverse.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it's already been in the process and printed up potentially. Boom, but let's not do just the Slaughterverse for that book, please.
Please.
He's got some other properties you can do.
Got some really good stuff. Really, really good stuff. So all right, let's switch over from talking about the past. We'll talk about the future and go over February 2024's Solicitations. I will do this because I was inspired by Ed's very meticulous detail to statistics on the last couple of times. I jumped the gun and did it myself because I was very curious. I didn't want to wait for Ed.
Okay.
So we get a total of 17 books in February, which is a very low number.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like very many.
So last month it was pretty low. We were actually, I think both of us were going through the previews in the show, and neither one of us had looked through the whole thing prior to that, and we just all of a sudden stopped.
It
We're
ended.
like, oh,
It's
I guess we're done.
oh.
Okay, crazy. So 17 books. We've got 2 new series. We've got 4 of them, 4 of the miniseries ending, and a total of 6 trades and or hardcovers. We've got a one shot, we got an ash can, 14 miniseries, and 1 ongoing series. So a lot going on there. So obviously, we'll zoom past this one because it's just the front cover. We'll talk about it here in a second. The first one is The Displaced, which is from Ed Brisson and Luca. You're going to help me on that one.
Casalanguida.
Yeah, shoot, yeah. See, that just rolls off your tongue way easier.
Oh,
than it does
no, it
mine.
doesn't really roll, but
well, I mean, you managed to get it out. My brain went, no consonants. So I stopped. I do really enjoy Ed Brisson as a writer. I have for many, many years. I know he's been getting work at DC and stuff like that, but when he's able to do creator-owned stuff, and he's done quite a few things here at Boom, I do think it's worth checking out. So the Displaced, um, the city of, and I won't go through every one of these. I'll just do it on a couple of new ones. But city of Oshawa, Ontario has vanished without a trace. Even worse, nobody remembers it, or the 170,000 missing residents that disappeared along with it. As the survivors also fall into the forgotten, they must seek each other out. They hope to have any chance of surviving in a world where no one believes they exist. So, that's an interesting concept. I like that.
That's an interesting pitch right there.
It's kind of like the, there's been a lot of, there's been a couple TV shows, a couple comics and stuff like that about, large groups of people disappearing and stuff like that. And then, returning and stuff like that. But to have 170,000, that's nothing to laugh at. So that'll be pretty interesting to check out. Some artwork here in previews. If you're not, if you're listening to us on the audio show, again, with every episode that we do previews, we're going through the PDF that Boom provides us. That is literally just the pages out of the previews catalog. So if you if you've picked up previews, you can follow along that way. If not, we're showing this on our YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter feed, so you can follow us along there too. But some good interior art. I'm digging this, so I'm looking forward to this one. The next one we have is the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers: The Return, number 1 of 4. This is the Kickstarter that is currently going on that we talked about earlier. So they'll start publishing that in February. And again, 4 issues on that. It's written by Amy Jo Johnson and Matt Hudson, and illustrated by Nico Leon. So a lot of, I would say, expected Mighty Morphin Power Ranger cover artists. Yeah. I think every single one of these has done multiple covers, so for different series and stuff.
Chris, who is Amy Jo Johnson?
She's the original Pink Ranger.
Yes.
Yeah, so, buddy.
One of the original Rangers is writing this with some help, undoubtedly.
With some help, definitely. I do like the idea, the concept of this story, though. Like, I'm not a huge Power Ranger fan, but I do like a good sort of concept. And so basically this is an alternate universe. The Rangers have defeated Rita Repulsa and Lord Zed, and apparently there's a cost that they have to pay in order to do that. I'm assuming someone has died. But this book takes place 22 years later after the team is disbanded. Zach and Billy have some unexpected information to share. Jason, the Red Ranger, has been operating as a lone vigilante and has since disappeared. So the other Rangers have to pull the band back together and chase him down and see what's going on. So I do like the concept. I do appreciate also that we didn't have the White Ranger or the Green Ranger being being the focus of it. That the Red Ranger or any other of the Rangers was going to be the focus. I like that. So some cool cover art. Dan Mora, which is always good. Jenny Frison, which is always good. If you've been following Boom or Amy Jo Johnson on Twitter, they've been sharing a lot of this concept art of all the different characters. They've aged over 22 years. So that's kind of cool. And then we go into the current Mighty Morphin Power Rangers series. This is the trade paperback Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Recharge Volume 4. This includes Power Rangers 111 through 114. This is where the Darkest Hour, if you've been holding off for the trades to start reading the Darkest Hour crossover or storyline, this is it. This is what you want to pick up. So this will be out. This is an advanced solicitation, so it won't be out till April. So You'll have to wait a little bit longer for that. But if you're reading it in issues, Power Rangers 117 will be out. This is written by Liza Flores, illustrated by Simona Del Gianfelice and Marco Arena. So then we got a nice Michael Walsh variant cover here. Ranger Academy, which we spoke about a little bit earlier. We won't be covering the next issue, but in let's see, is this an advanced solicitation? No, it's not. This will actually be out in February 28th. Ranger Academy Volume 1. This will be covering the first 4 issues of that series. We've been enjoying that one so far. House of Slaughter Ashcan number 21. This will be the first chapter, or the Ashcan of the I'm curious on what the decision is to be doing all these Ashcans.
I was just wondering that myself. Yeah.
Like, I get that for a first issue or new series or something like that, but like Something is Killing had one for one of the issues like last year or something like that, or maybe earlier this year. I get like Animal Pound having one, but I mean, not really sure what the decision, what makes that decision for an Ashcan. But this is the last, or this is the first chapter of the last story of Jace Butcher. So Boucher. So we get House Slaughter Volume 4 soft cover. This is covering issues 16 through 20. The Bait storyline, which we'll talk a little bit about tonight.
That's so the issue that we're talking about tonight is in there, issue 19. Yep. Okay. So that's like the second half of the Bait story, because his story's been more than 4 issues, hasn't
it? Yeah, this has got to be the second part.
Yeah, eight issues, 6 to 8 issues. Okay, yeah.
And this is an advanced solicitation, so you're not getting that in February. So it won't be like issue 20 drops in December and then you immediately get the trade. So
this will be in April.
Yeah. That one shot I was talking about, it's the Grim Pen and Ink number 1. So we get a pen and ink version of that. And again, we say this every time. I really dig what they're doing, that they brought back this program. I will pay the $20 if you give me an oversized copy of all of these.
Yeah,
I will happily give me that option. Give me the option. Like, have everybody else can have this $6.99 or $7.99, $7.99, for your UV spot cover. Give me the $19.99 big treasury edition. I will happily pay for that. That may not pay for the cost of printing, but I will. You'll at least have two copies sold with the 2 of us. So.
Yep.
Wild's End Beyond the Sea soft cover. This is covering the mini series that we're currently reading. So
this is also an advanced solicitation that comes out in April.
Yep. Then we have the second issue of Animal Pound. This is 2 of 4. This is Tom King and Peter Gross's new series with Tamara Bonvillain doing colors, not covers, but colors. TBA is getting some work done with variant covers. We got 2 of them already.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah.
So TBA is always exciting to see. You don't see them very often, but when you do,
you're cash.
Got to see what's going on there. Pine and Merrimack number 2 of 5. This is the new Kyle Stark's friend Galan series. First issue hadn't hit yet, so I think that's coming up the next week or 2.
Yeah. Well, let's see. I don't think it's next week.
Yeah,
maybe the week after.
I know it's soon. Like I've been looking through so many. Like I've really been looking at what's coming out in the next couple of weeks, because I'm really wanting to see what I'm going to be reading during my holiday vacation.
Gotcha.
So, trying to get caught up on the books, and I'm like, how many more books am I going to have between now and then? So. And then we get Under Heist number 3 of 5, Lotus Land 4 of 6, which we'll be talking about the first issue of that tonight. Space Between number 4 of 4, rounding out that mini series. Once Upon a Time at the End of the World number 12 of 15. Curious. Abbott, 1979, fifth issue of that. That will wrap up that mini series. Slow Burn number 5 of 5, also wrapping up that mini series. It feels like we just started talking about that series.
Yeah, really.
Damn Them All Volume 2. This will be covering issues 7 through 12, which will be the remainder of the series. I was going to say mini series, but I guess it technically is a mini series at this point. Ghost Lore Volume 2, trade paperback. This has got issues 5 through 8. And then Firefly, The Fall Guy, 6 of 6, rounding out that mini series, which has been pretty entertaining so far. The Expanse, The Dragon Tooth, number 9 of 12. This is the beginning of a new story arc. So this one, curious if they've had 2 or 3 story arcs in this to tell the overarching story. I'll have to go back and look. And then Zawa, The Belly of the Beast, number 4 of 5. And then, I missed this. And then Orcs the Gift, 3 of 4. And then there's a lot of trades and stuff as an ad. But yeah, so good stuff. Like I said, not a ton of books. You know, they're definitely cutting back for some reason. All the different, usually it's been over, 20 plus books. And they were really kind of cranking out a lot of the trades too. So I am kind of curious on, cutting back. I mean, I'm appreciative that they're cutting back just so I can catch up. So
so you can Pokemon the books.
So I can Pokemon the books. Exactly. So all right. So that is previews. So let's dive into some books that have come out in the last couple weeks. So what would you like to talk about first?
Let's take a look at Abbott, 1979, issue number 2. Whoopsie. There we go. All right. Now this comes to us from Mr. Saladin Ahmed as the writer, Sami Kavela, illustrator, Dan Jackson, colorist, Jim Campbell, letterer, with a couple covers, designs by Michelle Ankley and Nancy Mojica. And I'll apologize now as I'm starting to get into more and more of the names for the rest of the episode. If I mess those up and one of you are listening, please correct me and I'll make amends every time I pronounce it after that. But you got to give me one anyways to learn.
You got to try.
So we open up our book with, and what is her name, Chris? Lightbringer is what she is.
Well,
but
Abbott, yeah.
Yeah. Is that her first name?
It's her last name. It's what is her first name? I thought Elena.
Elena Abbott. Okay.
Or Elena,
that's right.
or something like that. Yeah. Wow.
So we open the book with her being attacked by Umbra. We found out in this issue a little bit more about Umbra. Umbra is not so much it is a thing, but it's not like, that made sense in my head, but as I get ready to say it, it's not going to make sense. Umbra is more a conceptual being, kind of like Father Time or Mother Nature, or something like that we're familiar with. We're much more familiar with those as comic book fans, definitely. But Umbra has attempted throughout time, and we have seen them through the other chapters of Abbott, to do some things through minions. The minions failed. Ultimately, now the driving force for these minions has crossed over into our dimension to do what it wanted done and its underlings were not able to do. And that's what Umbra is. The underlings wielded Umbra like it was a power or a power source or something like that. But come to find out, it's more a conceptual being that is now taking a more direct hand in having its will done than using underlings or minions. And it's definitely come against Abbott just in the first 2 issues. Now, this is the second time, this is only the second issue, that it is directly trying to take care of Elena, because she also, now I don't know if the power that Elena wields is related to something the way these evil minions were related to Umbra or not. Her source of information doesn't talk about the Lightbringer powers. It instructs her, informs her about Umbra and how
Yeah.
it works. So
Yeah.
we learned about the bad guys. We haven't really learned about that kind of thing from the good side yet. But Elena is the, I guess you could say, avatar. I would almost say the current avatar. I would suspect it's been something that's been going on over time, and there have been multiple chosens.
Yeah.
Elena is the most recent chosen, and she is called the Lightbringer, which it would be the opposite for a creature of darkness, the Umbra. Them demons got their claws in her Asian girlfriend, and her brother's still a drug addict down bad is an understatement.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, in her girlfriend, yeah, for sure. So much so that she's afraid to go around her, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Have anything to do with her. And this issue, I think, was really to inform us of the Umbra and what it is and how it works. We see Elena. We see her interacting with her former husband, James. We see her interacting with her girlfriend's brother, Lincoln, who last miniseries we found out runs a bar, and that is pretty much where Elena and Lincoln's girlfriend. Wait a minute, wasn't Lincoln's girlfriend's name Elena?
No, it's his sister.
Or his sister?
No,
I mean,
no. Elena was dating his sister. That's
his
who
sister's
Umbra
name
is
isn't
used.
Lena.
No, no.
I thought the Abbott's girl. That's not Abbott's girlfriend's name, Elena.
No.
Oh, okay. Anyways, yes, Lincoln's sister. Last issue, Elena and Lincoln's sister got together for most of the miniseries, and they were an item till the very end. Umbra decided that
Amelia is her name. Sorry.
Amelia. Okay,
Yeah.
that since he couldn't defeat Elena by herself directly, he decided he would use Amelia to try to do that.
Yeah.
And she is still in Umbra's clutches now, which I'm sure there are 3 other issues left in this series. I'm sure we'll see her return. It's not necessarily poignant right now in the story.
Right.
The counterpoint to all the information that we learned about Umbra was we've seen last issue and a little bit of this issue that something is going on with Elena's Lightbringer powers. You don't really know. Sometimes they just work exactly like they're supposed to, and sometimes they kind of fizzle out like a wet candle. It seems to be an either or kind of situation. And she doesn't know why. She finds out from her this stuff just all sounds weird. She finds out from her dead friend that the Umbra, in gaining more and more control over the world, is being able to block Elena's access to the sun or the light, if it's not sun. That is the power for the Lightbringer. So not only is Umbra wanting to defeat the Lightbringer to get rid of that concept completely, it is currently cutting off the Lightbringer from the source of its power. So it is weakening unto the point, I guess, that the Umbra will ultimately be able to kill her, Elena. So her friend, her ghost friend, Sebastian, comes back, and in telling her all about this Umbra, he tells her that this is what's happening to her powers, and he has the fix for it. All he has to do is give her his soul life, give his life to her, and it will recharge her, and then
Mhm.
she'll have the power to um, go against Umbra and defeat it, to not just defeat it, but to get her power back. Yeah. So Sebastian gives his ghost life to her to power her up as that side of the story, while the Umbra is gaining more and more leverage on the dark side or the evil
Yeah.
side of the story. Those are the two main components that I got from this issue. Little
Mhm.
bit of interplay, like I say, with Sebastian, who we have seen since the first miniseries. Definitely saw
Yeah.
him in the second. I
Yeah.
think we saw him alive in the first miniseries.
Yeah.
Sebastian, her good friend, James, her ex-husband cop. Um, we haven't seen Lincoln too much, and he doesn't do too much in this issue either. He's just kind of there. He's
Yeah.
a placeholder in my mind. And then his sister, which we haven't seen too much in this miniseries yet. She was a main focus of the second chapter.
Yeah.
This chapter she hasn't really come into focus, but as I said, with 3 issues left, and she is the current avatar for the Umbra Force. She'll have to play a part, being the former lover of the Lightbringer. I mean, it just,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
it's at this point the story is kind of starting to write itself as to
Yeah.
what is going to happen somehow.
Yeah.
But good stuff. I definitely like the setting. Um, it's another setting I think that would mm, it would be possible to delve deeper into things than what 3 miniseries does. I think it
Mhm.
sets up a
Oh, yeah.
nice counter world. All of this was going on, and most of us that are reading it was alive during these times. We were definitely alive during 79. We
Yeah.
were alive during 72, which I think was the second miniseries, and then the
Mhm.
first one was in the, I don't know, late 60s. I think we found out it wasn't in the title, but we found out it was
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
67 or 68 or
Yeah.
something like
Yeah, it's
that.
only been a
So
few years in between of these. Yeah.
yeah, so so this world is going on. This is the world inside the world that we know, having lived it. So
Yeah.
that's always kind of an intriguing thing, that they can um, wire in real world scenarios as to, well, this is why, take for instance, why things like the Cuban Missile Crisis heated up so
Right.
quickly,
Yeah.
because, or something like that. So
Mhm.
I always enjoy connections like that they can make.
Yeah. Yeah, I've enjoyed this miniseries so far, and just the overall the whole Abbott story arc it's been really good. Um, I did, and I can't remember if we mentioned this the last time, but as far as the art goes, uh, Cavella's art still gives me that Ron Lim
Mm,
vibe, which I really dig. It's not aping it by any stretch,
mm-mm.
but there's a lot of sort of just character um, design and stuff like that that gives me a very Ron Lim vibe, which is always a good thing for my opinion. So
Oh yeah, yeah. You won't do too poorly being compared to Ron Lim.
no, no, not at all. Not at all. But yeah, this has been good. I did appreciate in this issue giving sort of that explainer of the Lightbringer and the Umbra to sort of um not just be the third act of a larger story, but gives a new reader something to
Mhm.
understand and kind of come in at like, oh, okay, well, I didn't need to read all that stuff. I'm getting a lot of this information here, and that's always, I think, as a writer, that's always a good thing to
Right.
do for your do for your folks.
Make
So,
it so you don't have to, but if you want more, you can go back and
oh
read it,
yeah,
but it's not
yeah.
required reading. Yeah.
And I do think giving that sort of little bit of a hook to kind of convince folks, hey, you might want to go check out the earlier stuff. And they do a lot of that sort of, you know, uh, dropping hints and stuff like that
Mhm.
of characters, and just sort of uh, their past together and stuff like that. So yeah, good stuff. Let's take a look at Zawa and the Belly of the Beast #1. This is Michael Dino. This is a book. He writes it, he draws it, he colors it, he letters it, he prints it in his garage.
He does. He's selling them, I think,
He's
out on the
selling
corner.
it. He's going to everyone's house and hand delivering it.
Out on the corner, down
He
by the
is
street.
there. But no kidding. He literally writes, draws, colors, and letters this book. And then Madison Goyette does a little. I say do a little. Does
Yeah,
a
she does.
design.
Yeah, a
So,
little designing there, just to give Michael a break. You know,
yeah,
I'll
give him.
take
Yeah,
that. I'll
yeah,
take
yeah.
that.
I've got your logo design. I got
Yeah,
that taken care of. I got your interior pages taken care of.
Yeah,
Your
so
layout and your credit.
you just do everything else. It's cool.
Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah.
So so this particular so what we're getting is, I'll say, alternate world, alternate future, whatever you want to call it, where we have this elemental type creature monster, because no one really knows what it is. It is in the beginning of the issue, we see that they are trapped. This entity is trapped. Zawa is trapped in this cell, and this man with a bowler cap comes in and is giving it treats and feeding it to keep it alive, basically.
Is this dude's father?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And how?
That's what. That's why the end. That's why at the end of the issue,
Okay.
when he eats the cookie, he goes, "Oh, yeah."
Okay.
It wasn't that he got a sugar high. He just remembered
the taste of the cookie.
Remembered, yeah. So,
and interestingly enough, this is the second book from Boom that has to do with food.
It's true. Yep.
So food apparently is getting to be one of the things that
it's the new thing. Yeah.
Talked about it. Yeah. So, okay.
Well, yeah, if you were wondering what the new theme that's going to go through 2024,
write about
with
food.
Boom Books, and write about food, and
we're all food scared, and so yes.
Hey, nothing wrong with a good book about food. So, but then
people eat it up.
Yes, they do. Just laugh at it.
I'll be here all show.
Yeah, you will. I hope so, because it's gonna be a struggle without you.
Hey, wait, yeah.
I need somebody to help me pronunciations.
You have to talk an awful lot. Yeah.
I can do it, but it's not entertaining. It really is. So we get 10 years later. We're at Mesa Boon. I kept reading as Mesa Boom for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, actually, until you just said that, I have too, but it's
Boom. Oh, have you? Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was Mesa's Boom. Oh, okay.
I was like, that's interesting.
It's like,
so Boom. Things have developed. The mayor has come in. Whoever the mayor is, he's come in. He's developed the town to a certain point. There is a group of folks who live in the town that are sort of the backbone of how everything works. This is not a super sci-fi, town or anything like that. I kind of look at it as a poor Madripoor. If you're if you're a Marvel fan, it's very sort of, it's got lots of lights and buildings and whatnot, but it's got a sort of seedy underbelly and all that.
Lowtown.
There you go.
It's got its own Lowtown.
Got its own Lowtown, yeah.
Okay. That's where Wind started too, isn't it? Didn't he start in?
Oh, it's true.
His city's Lowtown as well. So it's like, oh, okay. That was the theme a couple years.
It's all coming together.
Yeah, the new theme is food. So yeah, we have to stick to that.
There's a master planners.
Yeah, there is, man. All these things they're connected.
Yep. Oh. So let's see if I can remember everybody's name. We get Leo, who is the delivery guy.
Right.
So what we end up having is Leo shows up at his friend's restaurant or bakery or something to that effect. Yeah, it's a bakery, the Blackbird Bakery.
Okay.
So, and then we get Thatcher, who is the older sister. I think she's older. Um, Now, keeping in mind that, and then we get Bandit, who has the chef bowler cap on. His father is the one 10 years ago that was feeding the
Right.
entity that
Okay.
was in the cell. So he, since then, his father apparently has died. I don't think we're actually told that for sure, but we definitely say there's definitely that his dad is not around anymore.
Right.
The mother works for the mayor. Again, sort of the grease that keeps the gears going kind of employee. Um, and so Bandit is the baker in the family. He's trying to keep his dad's business going. He and Thatcher are, and then they sort of have to scrounge for ingredients and actual like good food to create his bakery things because none of them were like normal.
I think the overall conceit is that the mayor is controlling people through the food. The
Yes.
mayor constructs and disseminates all food,
Hmm.
but there are free cookers out there,
Yes.
if you will, that are still trying to cook food, create food the way it used to be. The problem is all of the resources are controlled by the mayor and his manufactured food.
Yeah.
And so the free cookers are reduced to having to scavenge and or steal real components to
Yeah.
make real food, whereas everyone is consuming the manufactured. So that's kind of the overarching concept as I got it from this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's how, the control is not through jobs or the military or money or any of these other things that you will
Mhm.
typically see that the man keeps people down. Here it is through the food and access to the food, and
Yeah.
I suspect additives that he puts in the food to
Oh,
make
sure,
people
yeah.
more pliable and what have you. So
Yeah, because there's even because it's at point in the story in this issue where Thatcher and Bandit go to the mayor's factory to break in to get the natural food. And they talk about how their dad was trying to get the mayor to just give them some of the potatoes or give them just whatever the fruit is, and so that they could plant trees or crops, and the mayor would never do it. And so there's going to be some history there. There's going to be some sort of reasoning behind all that. um Much like I think what you're saying is that the mayor's using it as control.
mhm,
And so while they're in the factory uh stealing, they end up getting uh not caught, but or at least the guards are now made aware that they're there, so they're chasing them. Thatcher ends up getting out, um, but uh, but Bandit finds himself going through the trash chute,
hmm.
a la Star Wars.
Yeah, I was gonna say they should do that more often or
Yeah,
yeah, okay.
it's a
Except this one
concept that doesn't get used very often. Yeah,
didn't have a compactor here,
yeah,
so,
exactly. So
it wasn't quite as tense a moment as
So
we've
he
seen.
gets dropped, and so the sort of the we get it this hint, earlier in the issue from Thatcher talking about the Gobblegeist, which is this boogeyman that
Right.
parents tell their kids about to scare them, and so Bandit runs against or up against what he thinks in the sewer is the Gobblegeist, and ends up, obviously it's Zawa. We discover that later on, but Zawa is very feral, very, immediately, goes after him, but recognizes the cookies that Bandit had, immediately, grabs them, and while Bandit's escaping, uh, Zawa also escapes, but ends up in the final pages of the issue taking a bite into one of the cookies and sort of reminisces back to to Bandit's dad, possibly. Now there is a lot of, in the last few pages, with Zawa escaping, there's this text that is being written, and what we've not talked about is that the people who live in the city are down at the port, and there's this big party that's going on. That is, they provide, not sacrifice or anything like that, but they provide tributes to the sleeping guardian, who they say is keeping them prosperous and everything, which is Zawa. They think that that's what it is. So we get this chanting while Zawa's escaping, like, Zawa, the last guardian of the mountain, hear us. They are killing us. Our heart beats heavier. And there's these drums and sounds and stuff like that. And so it's sort of building up this sort of tension and everything. And when he bites into the cookie, this very ferocious look and everything, gets these really sort of like doughy eyes, and what the cover art that we see, of this very sort of childish creature, it sort of gets thrown back into the past, and sort of is a drastic contrast to what we think is, or what's being built up to, what's happening. So it's definitely a very a fun introduction, because we've been led to I say led to believe, with all the promo art and stuff like that, that this was going to be sort of this friendly character and stuff, and it may still be, but we get this issue, we're dropped in, and this ferocious monster looking thing, due to being neglected and beaten probably and starved and all this, but I thoroughly enjoyed the issue. I think the concept is good, but I'd still, like I said before, the art is great. I mean, it's it does harken back a lot for me to the Woods. I totally get what you're saying about Wind, but it definitely, when those first couple of pages, the first thing I thought of was the Woods. And I was like, yep, this is where I want to be. This is what I need more of. So good first issue. I'm glad that it's sold out, and glad that it's going to second printing, because I think it's just a good story. And we hadn't seen a lot of Boombox stuff. I think Fence was the last thing that came out of Boombox. So I'm glad to see it. Hopefully we'll see more stuff, as next year's is the 10th anniversary, but a good start.
I want to see more in the Free Comic Book Day book about our space age gold prospectors.
Oh, God.
From back in the early Boombox days.
Oh man, yeah.
What
is it? Was it Midas? What was it? Midas Flesh?
Yes.
The Rhine North, and yeah,
that was good. That was good.
I do enjoy that miniseries a lot.
All right, let's take a look at Coda.
Oh yes,
Coda issue number 3, with interesting cover with a big eyeball on it.
Well, just wants you to. It's a Sauron thing.
Yeah. This is written for us by Simon Spurrier, illustrated and colored by Mateus Bergara, with color assist by Patricio Delpeche, and lettered by Jim Campbell, designed by Grace Park. So we have the continuing adventures of Hum, dude, Circa, she dude, Nag, unicorn, which is Hum's steed, and a new one, she dude. Yeah. Snippy, the battle crab. I don't know what else you're going to call it. That Circa rides. We saw her riding it last issue, and she gave it a name this issue. Snippy, the crab, and Nag, the unicorn. I'm like, you go Spurrier. You just, and if that's not you, you go whoever
came up with it.
Man. Yeah, it's just okay. So For those of you, the quick catch up, Hum and Circa live on a farm in a world that magic has been destroyed. Um, the first several pages of this give us a theological description of what happened to the magic, interspersed with Hum's real world BS calling as the counter narrative as we're going through. But Hum and Circa live on a farm. Circa is pregnant, presumably with Hum's child. That's not really been said, but I assume that it is.
Hmm.
Hum is spending all of this issue considering names, so it must be his child, which is kind of funny. Hum is a human male, as far as I can tell. Circa is a female battle elf, for lack of
Yeah.
a better description. She is much more martial than he is,
Hmm.
and she has characteristics of some type of like fey creature or something. And I just, whenever I see that kind of leaning, I just think some sort of elf. Also, one of the races that she has dealt with were rather gnome like or dwarf like. So that
Yeah.
kind of lends me in the fey kind of direction also. Though considering there is no magic. So these are creatures of that ilk minus magic. So
Hmm.
I guess in a way that means that they're not elves, but anyways. Um and so Hum definitely wants to live the life of just the quiet farmer, tend to his land, and just that's what he wants to do.
Yep.
So she still hasn't moved out of this martial bent of hers. She will occasionally go out on forays where she looks for something to fight,
Yeah.
fights it, and comes back home.
Yeah.
Just to, it's like this drive. It's
Hmm.
how she is wired that she has to do this to release this uh, energy,
Yeah.
and then she comes back and attempts to be a wife to this human who wants to be a farmer.
Hmm.
Interesting, interesting relationship
I
between the
know
two
it
of them.
is.
Now, last issue we saw that there was the latest religious, um, uh, yeah, religious experience roaming the earth, gathering followers, and it came across Hum's land, and they decided that this was a pretty good place to pitch their tent, and so they kind of pitched their tent and made a temporary home
Hmm.
on his farmland out here, not necessarily in the middle of nowhere, but there are cities, but they didn't want those. They're roaming the common people, gathering the common people, and then this was a convenient place to set up home for a little while. So they pitched their tents here on Hum's land. It didn't go so well. Hum didn't like it. He didn't want it, particularly since they kidnapped his unicorn and tried to use his
Yeah.
unicorn as an indicator of the divinity of the chosen one because he was able to ride the unicorn. And Hum's like, yeah, no, that's mine, and get off and go, and just uh, with that kind of happening, you can kind of envision how that aspect of the story went, to the extent that the latest Messiah was killed, rather graphically, violently.
Yeah.
But his second in command, second in command, is used to being a second in command. As we see this story at the initial parts of this issue, um, he was the second in command to, well, according to his story, he is the individual telling the story. His name is Mildrew,
Hmm.
Drew, not the crap that grows on a wet wall.
Right.
Uh, that this has an R in it, so that way you can keep them different, separate,
Yeah.
right?
In case
He's
there's
not
any confusion.
Mildew, he's Mildrew. Yeah. Um, he was second in command to the king that was in place when whatever happened that destroyed all the magic. Ultimately destroyed his king, left him without somebody to follow. So he's familiar with being a second. He was second to this new Messiah. Now the Messiah is gone. Now he has kind of risen to be the front man of this metaphysical, philosophical group, but he's controlling these people with some grossness stuff. Um, Sprig Mother
Yes.
makes creatures, I think, but then there's also something called Acker that is related, is a substance that I don't know. Okay, there's a couple individuals. There's this one female named Hitomi that has something to do with it, but I'm not sure what. She appears to be human, although perhaps an old human in a bad way. Um, I say that because you can tell that she was definitely human at one point, but now she looks
Well,
much less
she's
human.
very spidery. She's got spider legs. Uh, there's a scene where, and I didn't notice it until just now because I
I
thought
was
they
going to say
said they
that's
would.
Hitomi. I thought that was a different creature.
Um. Oh, I thought that was Hatomi.
Oh, it could be. I mean,
Yeah.
I could have missed that. Um, and actually, the best picture was where he busted into the caravan at the end of last issue. That would
Oh, yeah.
show you the relationship with. See, I thought Hitomi was one thing, and this thing that they were calling the Sprig Mother was something else.
Oh, maybe.
But I would need to look at that picture to
Okay.
see
Because
what it
this
is he saw
panel,
in the caravan.
yeah, this panel, the guy actually comes into the the caravan or whatever where
Mhm.
she is and says, "Hatomi, the miracle, the miracle we all need to see." You do believe, don't you? So
Yeah, yeah. Now, see, and I see what you're talking about. I guess those things are coming off of her. Okay, but then you've got this thing over here. This is that Sprig Mother Acker thing with all these
yeah,
little critters
yeah,
that, like a separate creature, or maybe that's part of her and it's just not drawn, but it's all the way over here or something.
yeah.
So
It's weird looking. Yeah, the
yeah,
whole concept is just strange. Yeah. So
well, yeah. There's when magic got broken, things got really weird.
everything got
The
broken. Yeah.
creatures and the plants, and it just nobody took it very well
Yeah.
when magic died. When the magic di Yeah,
The
there's a
magic.
song in there
Okay.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Um, so now what's happened is this Mildrew, he has taken on the mantle of being the leader. And there's a running scene for about a third of this issue that I found very amusing. Hum and Circa wake up, because this dude is just verbally just gibberishing everywhere,
Yeah.
talking to his throngs out there.
Hmm.
And Hum is already up because as this dude has been talking, we've seen the counter narrative by Hum
Yeah.
in the issue. Well, now finally Circa has woken up. Hum is up like a true farmer. He's probably up at the crack of dawn to do his
Hmm.
stuff, letting the wife sleep while he does
Yep.
his chores. And okay, so now she wakes up and she's like, What the hell's going on? What is this?
Right.
I hear this noise. What?" So then the two of them are talking about. It seems to us they're talking about one thing,
Yeah.
but to the two of them, they're talking about something else.
Yes.
And while they're doing this, they are both getting dressed and getting ready to proceed with what turns out to be the final third of this issue.
Right.
So you think they're just talking, but they're talking out this thing while they're getting dressed to go do something.
Yeah.
Him and his Gandalfy wandering kind of clothes, and her in her
Mhm.
battle stuff. So at the end of this discussion scene, you know, in a way, if you weren't paying a lot of attention, you're like, wait a minute, they got dressed. Like if
Yeah.
it were a TV show, that is definitely where you would get. It
Yeah.
would you would see them coming in and off frame as they're getting dressed, and then the final frame of that scene would be the two of them dressed, ready to go, and you'd be sitting there watching like, when when did they get dressed? What did they do?
Right. Yeah.
You know, um, because in their uh, in their talking to each other conversation, not the conversation that we were aware of and thinking they were having. They're discussing the fact that this dude is making himself, Mildrew is making himself a target
Hmm.
because Circa knows who is going to target someone like that
Hmm.
because she was just with them last issue
Yep.
dealing with them. So they're talking. Hum is going to go try to deal with Mildrew. Circa is going to go try to deal with the hit gnome or the killer gnome, or
Yeah.
I think he has a name too, but it was the last issue. I don't believe she said anything about his name in this issue. Um, and he's going to use this device that Circa used. It's a helmet that is a gun on it. You wear it like a helmet, and she ditched it because she didn't like it, didn't need it. She's much more the big buff sword wielding kind of fighter.
Hmm.
She doesn't want this weapon gun thing. So she got rid of it, but he recognized it, this little Nomi dude, for what he could do with it. And so he grabbed it. So he wants to disrupt everything. He is the agent of chaos in the story. Not that Mildrew isn't causing his own chaos, but he's kind of the counter chaos. He's like the agent for order. Might not be an order that you want, but
Right.
it's
Yeah.
it's order. Okay. The gnome creatures, particularly this one that we see, they are chaotic, and he is the leader of chaos, the
Mm.
chaos element in this order that is trying to form in this devastated world that all magic has been destroyed, that has been orderless, it's been chaotic. And um so Hum is going to try to protect him because Circa has told him that somebody's going to be out to kill him. So Hum's like,
Yeah.
well, I want him to stop, but I don't want him to necessarily die. He doesn't have to die. He just has to stop. So
Yeah.
he's going to go try to do that. Circa's going to hunt down the killer gnome and try to take care of him.
Hmm.
So that is what they both undertake in like the last third of this issue, trying to do those two disparate things and hopefully come back together at their little farmhouse and do their little farm thing and name their child and everything like that. Hum is embarrassed that he's trying to come up with names for some reason. He doesn't want Circa to know,
That
even
was so
though,
weird. Yeah. It's like, don't ask me what I'm doing.
yeah,
She's like, I
several times
wasn't.
he said it. Yeah, and it's like, well, but he knows that she's pregnant, and
Yeah.
she knows that she's pregnant.
Yeah.
Um, he asks to touch her belly. She's not very keen apparently on being pregnant. I mean, she doesn't necessarily mind or want to get rid of the child, like in
Right.
another story actually that
Yeah.
comes to mind. But she doesn't care really, I think, one way or the other. She is doing something that she is supposed to do whether she wants to do it or not, and that is procreate.
Hmm.
Hum has much more the way humans are typically shown about procreation. It's a lot more of an emotional thing to him. To Circa, it's much more a physical thing, I guess, or a mechanical thing almost.
Hmm.
So at one point, he asks to touch her belly to see if he can feel the baby move. So I mean, but yet he doesn't want her to know. I guess he doesn't want her to know that it's important enough to him that he is considering names. I guess he's trying to
Yeah.
brush it off like she is to make it a nothing thing.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, and some of those names are really really whack names that he's coming up with,
Yeah.
but
I know.
I guess they fit the world they live in. I don't
Yeah.
know. Um, and by the end of the issue, both missions are accomplished. Um, we don't necessarily see them come back together as a couple yet, so I guess that's going to last until the next issue a little bit. So,
Hmm.
but I was really amused by the conversation you see written but the words having different meanings
Oh
than
yeah,
what
yeah,
and I didn't
yeah,
catch that at first, but about halfway through, I was like, "No, wait a minute, they're getting dressed too. What did I
yeah,
miss?" And I went up and I started reading it again, and I'm like, "Oh, there is the message within the message of
yeah,
the." Yeah, so it was well done, I thought.
yeah. Yeah, it was. It took me probably about half the issue before I realized. Oh wait a second. There's something else going on here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that was very subtle. It was enough that it was there for you to pick up on,
yeah,
but you really had to catch something to pick up on it. Otherwise,
yeah.
you'd have been like, "Oh, okay, well, they're just."
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, because it's just like even when them sitting down at the table, at the beginning of the issue, it's kind of like, wait a second, are we all talking about the same
Yeah,
thing?
yeah. Are we
That's what
talking
it
about
sort
the
of
same
keyed
thing?
in. I was like, I don't think we're all talking about the same thing here.
Yeah.
So there we are. So, but yeah, no, good issue. No, I just, I spend more time really kind of looking over the art after I read
Oh,
this.
wow.
It's
It's
just
yeah.
such a great looking book.
Um, the and this just struck me. I don't know where this came from, but the final panel, next issue, going on a bloody quest. That panel,
Right.
I get Vaughn Bodie vibes from that picture.
Oh wow.
Cheech Wizard.
Hmm. Hmm.
I could be kind of off. It's just, but I'm like, yeah, I see kind of Bodie in that picture there. And uh, I'm sorry if I'm not trying to name drop guys. If you are interested in that artist, look him up. He is
Yeah.
a 19 mid 70s to mid 80s heavy metal
Yeah.
heavy. A
Yep.
lot of his stuff appeared in heavy metal before it appeared anywhere else. But his name was Bodie, Bode, and Cheech Wizard is probably one of the things that people know him best for that were
Hmm.
reading heavy metal at the time. He did a lot of other stuff. His son did some stuff after he died. Didn't quite have the career that his dad did, but
Yeah. It's
yeah.
got a
So
little Mobius vibe to it.
Mobius, okay,
Yeah. Because when I
yeah,
first saw those flying creatures, that was the first thing that I thought of.
okay, yeah.
But now that you've said, yeah, no, I see what you're talking about. Yeah. It's good
E
stuff.
Yeah, maybe my reference should have been late '70s heavy metal.
Yeah.
Whoever would have been doing that,
You're
because
true.
it could have been either one
You're
of
not
those guys.
wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so
God, now I want to go find some old heavy
yes,
metal
that
magazines.
that was some,
Got some
I
good
I
stuff.
thought I recently saw that they were going to try to do that again. That 2nd
Like
volume all got
relaunched the
canceled.
magazine again.
Yes,
Oh
again,
man.
because that 2nd volume, it all got canceled, the
Yeah.
money, whatever.
Yeah.
But it seems like recently I read that somebody was gonna try to do that again.
Uh
Yeah, I'll have to look that up. But yeah, okay, so moving
yeah.
on.
Cool. All right. Lotus Land #1. This new series came out a couple weeks ago. Written by Darcy Van Polgust. Is that it? Polgust?
Uh,
Illustrated by Caio Felipe. Colored by Petruccio Del Pesce. Hey, I've seen the name before.
mhm.
Letter by Nate Picos of Blambot. If you're old school, you know all about Nate. And then logo designer is Tom Muller, and publication designer is Tom Muller with Grace Park. So yeah, so this new miniseries, sort of the concept of it is it takes place in Vancouver, I think, British
Mhm.
Columbia. Um, and
Actually, if I can interrupt real
sure.
quick, the theme of this is an ancient theme. Dude is a retired cop
Oh
with a
yeah, yeah.
kid that wants to be left alone.
Just leave me alone.
Yeah, how many times have we seen that?
Oh, I love it though. It's one
we
of my
we
favorite concepts.
we interact with the mom briefly in the book,
Yeah.
but yeah, right away it's a dude, an older dude with a
Yep.
son. They come and say, "Oh, we need you for a minute." No, I'm out. What?
Yep.
No, and it's like, yeah, that is like 150 different movies you've ever
Oh yeah,
seen, and yeah.
yeah. No,
Okay,
I dig it though.
sorry.
But yeah, so yeah, but it's just that it's it's a cop who's been sort of quote unquote retired for a while. He's got his son. They're off in the the woods of Vancouver. They've got their little quiet home and everything,
Doing
and
something
and then
nice and quiet. That's
and
yeah,
then the wind blows, and it's not a helicopter that lands like every other movie. It's we're a little sci-fi here, so
yeah.
we have this like pod that lands, and it's his former partner who gets out, and his new partner, and and they tell him, something's happened at the keeper program, which he's very well
We need you
versed
to
in.
come back in.
We need you to come back and help, that kind of thing. So so the new partner is like got all this attitude and everything, because his partner is like, his old partner is like, well, we really can't get into all that. We just need you to come back. And then she's just like, blah, 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 blah. Just starts, like, let me tell you what I know. It's just like, okay, and then it's kind of like, okay, well, we just need you to come back to chat for a little bit. Let me tell you what I know. You don't understand. Yeah. So it's every cop
Yeah.
trope movie. It's so good. But it's set in sort of this sci-fi, not dystopia or anything like that, but the world is more, the one I'm taking it is that it's more looking at, he makes our lead character, what's his name? I forget what his name is off the top of
Benny
my head.
Strickman.
Benny. Yeah, so he makes a lot of references to where he and his son live, about the natural trees, and everything like that. And so what it sounds like, the keeper program, they talk about whatever the big electric tree that's in the middle there, is that everyone's life is sort of uh not probably hinging on it, but it's the tree of life that they have at the keeper program. And so it is supplying everything that trees would normally do, but and then some. Um,
So
and it
in this image here where it says City of Vancouver
Mhm.
2648, so does that mean Benny's in the jet?
Ah,
Oh, yeah.
yes.
Thank you. Okay. Sorry.
Golly, I mean, you were on a freaking roll tonight.
Sorry. Okay.
And if you all take a step back and notice where all of these selections are coming from, they're all late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah,
That's
that's where
just
I stay,
that's
man.
just where it is,
That's
man.
home. Yeah.
But yeah, so Detective Strickman, excuse me, comes back, because uh, someone is trying to shut down the keeper program, and the little kid is like, can someone actually do that? So the kid knows something. He knows about his dad's life and everything, or at least some of it.
Some of it, yeah.
And so his dad's kind of like, no, they're not supposed to be able to do that. So he gets brought back in order to kind of figure it out. um he meets with the head of the keeper program, and sort of is given some instructions, but it's basically, it's that, you can work with these people, but you come directly to
Right,
me, and
right, that's
give
it.
me what you find. It's so good.
Yep.
um and so Sturkman goes off, and he does starts to look into things, and it's not Blade Runner by any stretch.
Oh, thank you, because that's exactly that was gonna be my next reference. I was gonna
Oh,
say,
okay.
"Oh, there's a replicant." Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
So
it
it's
definitely
not
gave me
Blade
Blade
Runner or
Runner
anything like that,
vibes.
but there is some visuals that kind of lean toward that direction. Um,
Neuromancy, yeah,
yeah,
that whole
yeah.
thing.
He ends up running into Tabby, who is the boy's mother, and and it's sort of, she's trying to figure out. She asks a question that's kind of interesting. She was like, what are we doing here? And he's like, well, just trying to figure out, how to solve this case. And she's like, no, 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 no. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
And so I was like, that was nice. I
And
like how that was
and
done.
not to say anything about the fact that he was a cop, she was a social worker.
Yeah.
They got together and had a child. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, come on, this is just, you know,
Um, and then the issue, golly, I mean, the more I sort of go over it in my head again, it's literally every cop trope
it
that there
is, it
is.
is. They're
And
putting
so
them
he
all in
gets
there.
called back to the world tree, to the keeper program, and the guy that he's been brought in to look for has taken the CEO, hostage, the guy who he'd just been talking to. Um, and all the cops are like, we're gonna rush the place, and he's like, give me 5 minutes, and so he goes in and starts to talk to the guy. But the interesting thing is, earlier in the issue, Sturkman makes a comment where he says, I'm gonna keep the gloves on.
Mhm.
And there's there are
Okay.
sayings like, kid gloves, and
Yeah,
those kind of
that's what
things.
you
So I
would
sort of
assume. It's
I kind of just threw it away as
he's
like,
gonna go
uh,
easy.
he's gonna go easy. Yeah.
He's not gonna go full Benny. I'm gonna keep the gloves
Right.
on. Like,
Full
okay,
Betty. And so as he's walking in, he starts to take his
taking
gloves
the
off.
gloves
And I'm
off.
like, oh crap, it's about to go down. And there's blood everywhere. You kind of find out that the guy he's been looking for has severed the head off of the CEO.
And
I mean, there was like,
he's dragging it
he just
or
dragging
carrying it
the head.
around. Yeah, it's like, oh,
So,
wow, okay.
Horatio, I knew you well. So he was just
And
like,
what he's there to do is he's gonna shut down the big mega tree.
yeah, which
And
apparently just has a big lever.
yeah, yeah,
That was the
that's all it
greatest thing
takes. It's
ever.
just a yeah,
I
okay.
loved that. I loved everything about that. He was just like, all right, I'm just going to do it. And it was just
Easy
like,
to turn it off,
okay.
easy to turn it on. Okay.
Now, what we find out, Marcus, who's the guy he's been looking for, is, he's talking. We thought at first he was talking to Strickman, but he's not. He's talking to somebody else, and we don't know what's going on. And so, uh, Russ, his, Benny's partner, comes in, tackles him. The army, the
The
cops come
SWAT team is
swarming
yeah.
in, just guns blazing and all this other stuff. But then Benny, or Strickland, puts his he the guy's, Marcus is dead, dying on the ground, and he puts his hands on Marcus's face, and we get this flash, image, this one page thing of him saying, show me everything. And so what we're seeing is that Benny is either some sort of psychic or something, but
Yeah.
he's able to see images. He sees this woman, and so it's a very watery, like someone's either drowning or being pulled out from the water. We don't know. It's just a lot of imagery. Um, and then the guy dies.
Is this what the keeper program is?
And that's the thing. We've not really said what the keeper program is.
Given people the ability to do something,
Could
maybe
be.
not everybody does this, but something.
So yeah, so that's kind of where we're left. Now, what we find out is that uh the last page, he makes some comment about um he had told his son that no one could actually stop the keeper program, but he's sort of thinking back on what he's saying, is that the problem is that, you know no one can do that, but then he makes a reference that no one can take his son away from him too. And so you see the kid back at the cabin, getting ready for bed. Apparently we left like a 7-year-old by himself in a cabin in the
Uh,
woods,
yeah,
because this kid didn't look more than 7 or 8 years
da-
old.
dad's raised
Um,
him right, apparently.
yeah, apparently. But the kid has some sort of scar or something on his
Uh-huh.
chest. And
Now,
so,
Benny's hands do have something as well. I don't know if they're scars, if they're
yeah. Hmm.
tendrils of some sort of attachment on his hand or something, but
Yeah.
it's not just a normal pair of hands that he has. There's something
So,
additional there
yeah.
that's being drawn.
So, um, so yeah, I don't know. Getting to the end of the issue, I don't know much more than what I've
Mhm.
said. There's not a whole lot of information. There's a lot that happens. Again, yes, it was sort of tropey in every sense, but none of this is campy by any stretch.
No, not at all.
It is straight taking itself seriously, and it is a good issue. The writing is good, the dialogue is great, the art is fun. Fun. I hate. Sorry, that was a dumb way to say that. The art is really good. Fun in the context of this story is not appropriate. It is a violent. There's lots of violence in this, but at the same time, there are those moments where Benny's with Tabby, talking at the restaurant or whatever. These quiet moments, him and his son at the beginning of the issue, with the birds and everything. So there's a lot going on. This was a very packed issue of a lot happening. And I felt like when I got to the end of the issue, I was kind of wanting there to be a few more pages. Let's just keep going. Let's keep telling the story. So good first issue, I think. Looking forward to seeing how things progress in the next issue.
Definitely. I think there was everything that you need in this first issue to want to pick up the second.
Hmm.
So it's not always the case.
Yeah. And we talk about the tropes, seriously, if you
But
read it, you'll see them, but it's not distracting by any
right, yeah,
stretch.
it's not in a bad way.
Yeah.
It's not disrespectful or anything like that.
No.
But to me, it's amusing that I guess to me, it's amusing that I recognized so many of
Oh,
them.
yeah. Yeah, for sure.
It's like, wow, I actually see what this person is doing. They're taking this thing that we have seen maybe too many times if you
Yeah.
don't enjoy something like that, but it's in a futuristic world. It's
Mhm.
600 years from now. It's questions. The only two people apparently that had answers are now both dead. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, it's, um, question about his son. What's that thing on his chest? Um, for me, question about, well, what happened to between Benny and Tabby? Why
Yeah.
are they not, this happened, well, she had the boy a while ago because, like you said, he's 7 years old, 8 years
Yep.
old, maybe something like that. We don't know how long they've been separated, but
Yeah.
we know that they were a decent item once upon a time that she chose to become pregnant.
Yeah.
You know, were they married? Were they
Mhm.
not? Was this a case? Was it, I mean, all of these questions.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, they're just it's thing that you have seen after thing that you have seen,
Mhm.
but then something new.
Yeah.
So it's taking this ladder that's already in place, but as you're climbing the ladder, it's twisting and bending in a way that you're not used to a ladder going,
Yeah.
where you know where each rung is, and so um, to me that was enjoyable. That it was like,
Oh, for sure, yeah.
I know this, I know that, and oh, well, what is that?
Yep.
Yeah, so good stuff.
Yep.
Okay, all right, I got the short straw. I'll talk about House
I
of
I was
Slaughter.
gonna let you do it. I was gonna let you
I'll,
talk
I'll,
about it.
I'll
I
talk
talked
about
about it
House
last
of
time.
Slaughter. Okay. All right. Let's see here.
The short straw?
The short
Really?
straw. Yeah. Man.
I get
I,
hyped about new titles, so
I think
that's my thing.
we talk about a Slaughterverse book every episode. I think
Well, that's what they
something
pay
is
us to
out.
do,
It's,
so
well, yeah, that's true. So we have to. We have no
we
choice.
have to.
We agreed to. It's
We're morally obligated.
yeah, it is now. It's you done cashed it, so hold up your side.
Exactly.
Um, This the series was developed by James Tynion and Werther Dell'Edera. Werther is also responsible for designs.
Mhm.
It's written for us this book, House of Slaughter, by Sam Johns, illustrated by Letitia Caranici, colored by Francesco Segala, lettered by Justin Birch, with design by Grace Park.
Grace Park. Yep.
Now, man, she needs to work more. She doesn't do it.
She
This is the
needs
only book that she
her
doesn't
and
even color.
Madison. Good
Man,
lord.
yeah,
The
that's
two hardest working designers outside of everybody.
Yeah, any other design house.
Yeah,
It's yeah.
exactly.
So we are continuing our story with Bait, although it's starting to come to a head.
Hmm.
Um, Bait basically is given an ultimatum by, and I didn't note their names, but there's a couple uh, Azures, Azures,
Yeah,
how you pronounce that color, Azure, Azure, um,
sounds good.
who have been kind of shepherding him on this mission. They've been out there while he's been doing the mission itself.
Paris and Tybalt.
There we go.
Yep.
But they have come to Bait and said basically, or word gets to him. I don't believe they necessarily talk to him. That look, you've been here, you have a handle, or you don't have a handle. It doesn't matter. What's going on? You need to bring to a halt, or we will come in with a bunch of our people
Wrap
and
this
we'll bring
up.
it to a halt. It's either way, it needs to end, and you can end it, or we'll end it,
Right.
whichever.
Yeah.
So Bait understands what that means. If the Azures get in there, then everybody except Bait will die.
Yeah.
Everybody, no witness, no nothing. All the monsters, all the people.
Hmm.
They'll probably burn the house and burn the
Oh,
fields
sure.
and just
Would not shock me.
total Civil War era, total war. It just which is not what Bait wants.
No.
He's got
Yeah.
an emotional connection with one of the people here. Unfortunately, the wrong one, which you had to know as
It's
the story
always
was
going to happen.
developing. That's
Yeah.
what was going to be.
Hmm.
And um, except for her, truly everybody else is an innocent.
Yeah.
They are part of what's going on, but they're not the cause per se, or anything is not their fault.
Right.
But we do find out that they are aware of what's going on,
Yeah.
almost
That was
completely.
hilarious.
Yeah, not completely, but almost. There's just one or two more threads, and
Yeah.
they would have the whole picture, but they
Yeah.
don't. So that's fortunately also a saving grace for the kids.
I love the
Um,
fact that the kid comes up to him while the totem is explaining everything to Bait, and the guy goes, "Yeah, we know."
yeah, we know that,
And it's just
and he
like,
can
"What?"
talk to the totem, and he can understand the totem. He's like,
Right.
"Yeah, I
It's
can
like,
hear
"Yeah,
you."
we just been thinking you've been talking to yourself, but now that
Yeah,
makes
the
sense."
totem's like, "Oh shit, he can
Yeah.
hear me."
They're like, "Oh,
It's like,
that was
"Okay,
great."
yeah."
I
Um,
I wonder what the issue would have been like if that they didn't decide to go that route. Like, was it gonna be just Bait having to go in there and just kill some people and walk
uh,
away? I
Potentially.
mean,
I
it's
mean,
I mean, we kinda get that anyway in the issue, but, in
but
a different circumstances, but
right, yeah. So he's gonna wrap it up, but now he has found out that he's going to have help, I guess,
yeah,
wrapping it
yeah.
up with most of these other kids, not all of them.
The
One of them is
totem is just kinda like, "Okay, fine, this is what we're gonna do."
yeah, it's like, it doesn't matter. Yeah, we
Yeah,
gotta do it, and they're gonna play too, so okay.
yeah.
Um, but you've got the one girl, Nan. Um, she's kind of the cause of everything. Come to find out, that's also the girl that Bait likes,
Mhm.
emotionally likes, not squishy, ishy likes
Yeah.
kind of thing. And then we've got
Squishy.
one of the kids, yeah, in a romantic sense.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to say romance. Um, one of the kids is too young. So there's like 7 or 8 of them. So one is too old, one is too young. The rest are going to help. And ye howdy, can they apparently help?
Oh, yeah,
Um,
for sure.
First of all, Bait shows them his weapons cache, and they're like, "Oh, okay. Well, how about this?" And they go and they break down into the gun vault that the
Right.
dude who oversees them has, and they bring out shotguns and pistols, and it's like, okay. So you have scythes and maces, and you have
Mhm.
9 mil and shotguns.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
good
yeah.
times. It's a party.
Uh, Wielded by people that are, I don't know, 12 or 13 to 7 or 8
Mhm.
is the range. There's about 4 or 5 of them there that, yeah. So now this adds another layer to the Slaughterverse monster mythos. We have this, again, another conceptual being called an Ascura, or it could actually be a type of monster. I wasn't too sure if it was a specific or like an overall species or a monster concept or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. Um, so that is the we'll call it the power source.
Yeah.
Then you have two individuals. Both of them have to be human. One will be called an originator, and the other a proliferator. The originator basically creates the monsters. The proliferator, because it is afraid of the monsters that the originator creates, empowers the monsters.
Yeah.
So you have to have both. Um, if you do not have a proliferator, the monsters cannot do what monsters do. They can be created, but they won't be able to do anything. You have to
Mm.
have this proliferator who is a person that is aware of the monsters and is frightened, which we have come to see is a key component
Yeah.
to the monsters. Used to be, you thought that in order to make them visible, it had to be people that were afraid of them, uh, believed in them.
Mm-hmm.
Originally, at first, was what was said, and then it was, well, they have to be afraid of them in order to see them, in order to give the monsters power, to empower them. So those two, originator and proliferator, have created this pack of monsters that has been preying on the surrounding countryside. And these other kids may or may not have directly seen these monsters, but they do believe that monsters exist. And they do believe the monsters exist as Nan has described them in stories that she has told them, much as an older person will tell younger kids stories to put them to sleep or to assuage fears or whatever. But Nan, because of experiences she had when she was younger,
Mm-hmm.
tells stories about monsters. And that's how all of this has started, out here in the middle of nowhere at this little farm of orphans. Bait has been dropped in the middle of it to fix it. Now, given all this, of course, the quickest way is, well, if you kill Nan, she's the originator, the
Yeah.
monsters won't be able to exist anymore. Well, he has a thing for Nan. She reminds him of his mother. So he won't be able to actively kill her. She may still die by the end of the story. It's
Mm.
hard to say. Um, and to me, basically, that's the story. The monsters attack again. Now they have been attacking periodically, if not every night, which
Mm.
again has been typical of monsters in the Slaughterverse. Bate's been going out and killing the ones that he encounters, but it's never ending because Nan, as long as she is telling stories, is creating more monsters. So he doesn't Bate doesn't get anywhere, and
Yeah.
so that's why finally the Azures, Tybalt and Paris, are like, dog, we need to wrap this up.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you've just been playing
This
around,
is
and
great and
we're
all,
here to,
but
yeah, we're here to finish this. So, um, uh, fight, weapons. At least one of the kids dies. Uh, Bate talks.
yeah, that threw me off.
Yeah. Um, I think Bate gets pretty messed up by the end of the issue too,
Yeah. Yeah.
if I remember that one panel right. Nan, by the end of the issue, is still alive, and I think Bate by the end of the issue is still alive, but Bate is kind of suffered for the fact that all of these other kids and all the weapons that they have, they're not necessarily able to kill the monsters.
Yeah.
It's more like a holding pattern until Bait can get to that one and
Mhm.
kill it, and then they do something until Bait can get to that one and kill it. So it's like Bait is the executioner, and the rest of them are like just the front guard to
Yeah.
keep the monsters occupied.
Yep.
It's what it seemed to me. So, I'm trying to get here to the end of it. Yeah, there's the big showdown where one of the monsters finally gets to Nan. Bait is there. Nan is has the youngest child. She's taken affection to the youngest child because
Mhm.
she's um, I think because she is the most childlike, or he is the most childlike, like Nan wasn't able to be because of what happened in her
Yeah.
past. She didn't really have a
Well, that makes sense.
childhood.
Yeah.
So she's kind of attracted to the childhood. She particularly takes care of the youngest. So that's what she is doing. The monster gets in, Bait gets into something to rescue Nan, to kill the monster, to draw the monster out. All of these different things are going on. Finally, in the end, though, you see that the monster has gotten to Bait,
Mhm.
and uh, I mean, I guess you can live from that, but and
Eh, it's gonna be painful. Yeah, but yeah.
yeah, yeah. Nan gets outside and sees that one of the other children has died in all of this, in the monster attack. I think she also running out of the house broke her ankle. Um, and Sienna, a little girl named Sienna, is the one that's at least she's laying on the ground, kind of messed up.
Yeah.
And then the final, is it the final panel? Yeah, the final panel is Bait. Yeah, in kind of a bad way. And there we go. Nothing is ended per se. Nan isn't dead. All of the monsters aren't dead. Bait is injured apparently.
Yeah.
So it looks like, by the way that it ends, it looks like, well, Bait had one mission too many and isn't going to make it out of this one.
Yeah.
We'll have to wait and see. I don't know about Bait in the future. I don't know if this is his last story or not.
I mean, it's not being, solicited as that, but, it it definitely leaves you wondering, as this issue ends, so but yeah, it was definitely I enjoyed this issue a lot. It's probably my favorite issue of the arc so far.
I
Um,
would agree with that.
I felt there was a lot going on, a lot of like, well, with the kids knowing kind of what's going on already without, Bait having to explain it to them, or the totem have the fact that they could hear the totem was great. Bait
Yeah.
talking, and not in a mumbly kind of way. Like he
Mm-mm.
just chooses not to talk. Um, so yeah, it's so, and then the little girl able to load the handgun. I love the line like, "Should we be concerned about this?" Yeah, they're like, "No, she's just is what it is." So,
Yeah. No, it's good.
um, but yeah, it was probably the most fun I've had with this arc so far, and it's been a really good arc so far. But yeah, this was a really good issue. So I'm curious to see how the next issue concludes everything, because
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
definitely
Definitely.
a lot of lives being hung by the by a thread here. So we'll see. All right. Anything else?
There were several other books that came out that we did not
Yeah.
get to. Damn Them All, issue number 10. Dune, House of Harkonnen, issue 11. Expanse Dragon Tooth, issue 7. Firefly, The Fall Guys, issue 3. Hunt for the Skinwalker, issue 3. Mech Cadets, issue 4. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, issue 114. So
Mhm.
about as many we didn't talk about as we were able to talk
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe I don't know if we'll necessarily have time next week. Maybe we'll ring up another one or two of these in
Yeah.
addition to whatever. But I think what's coming out in the next couple days that we'll talk about next Monday is another full slate of like
Yeah. It's
6
a
to 8
full
books
it's a full list.
just on its own. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we may not be able to harken back to any of these until we talk about the next issue, which will be in another 2 to 4 weeks, depending
Yeah.
on which book. So
Yeah.
sorry about that. If one of these is you guys' favorites, I mean, I like Mech Cadets and Hunt for Skinwalker
Yeah.
particularly. Just not enough time in the day. You
Yeah.
guys know how that goes. Not enough
Yeah.
time in
We
the day.
we all have the same 24 hours.
Oh man. And as a comic book reader, I think we live by that credo, you know.
Oh, for
That's
sure.
That's the whole motivation for the reading stack that we're
Yep.
all familiar with is not enough hours in the day.
I spent a good deal of time over the weekend moving a lot of stacks around as I was rearranging my sort of desk space and everything. There were stacks and stacks of comics all over my desk, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, I'll get to these
Yeah.
at some point."
Yep.
So
If you haven't, that means that there is always time to.
yeah,
You just
so
don't know when that time will be.
it could be years from now.
Hey,
We'll get
but you
there,
will have them and you will get to them.
and I'll enjoy it. Dang it!
There you go.
Hopefully,
May
I'll
not be able to
enjoy it.
remember it or even
Maybe.
talk, but
Mm,
I'll
no,
enjoy it.
no, be drooling the entire time.
That's it. Yep.
All right, everybody. Well, thanks for listening. If you want to get up with us, you can come on the website, the boomaddiction.com, or come by comicaddiction.net. That's comicaddiction.net. It's the front door. Boom Addiction is the back door. Come and check out all the boom stuff if you like. Is what it is. Email is boomaddiction@gmail.com. We would love to follow up with you and talk about answer questions, whatever.
What have
Emails
you?
are always fun. Throw out a book and see if we can remember it. See if we can see what we
Not
can do
cool.
there.
Not cool.
Twitter, you can follow us at Boom Addiction. I know a lot of folks have been watching us and listening to us on the Twitter feed there. You can follow Ed at Teal Productions. You can follow me at Chris Barton. You can come by our forums, just another fanboy at freeforums.net. You can come by our Facebook group, which is Fans of Boom Studios. Look for that. You can join the community there. And that is about it. So that is a solid 2 hours of content for you folks. Hopefully you get a chance to get through all of it. If you do it all in one sitting, more power to you. But I totally understand bits and pieces and bite-sized chunks. That's how I listen to a lot of my shows. So, but yeah, other than that, Ed, as always, thanks for joining me, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And we will catch all of you next week. Goodbye.
Ciao.
And to those of you who are in the various chats and the whatnot on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and all that, appreciate you listening to us live, and we'll sign off.